You're a dog. You're a dog.
I talked to someone in Saint Germain on Sunday, and they said that the leaves were peaking in that area right now.
Oh, wow. That's early.
Wow. Hazel, I do have this as unlisted for YouTube, so that you know.
Thank you.
So nobody will see it except for our group, which will just be a link on the website.
That's fine.
Oh, well, 30 more seconds.
Yeah. Screen straight. Clint, do you want me to just start or?
But that's fine. It doesn't matter.
Okay. All right, welcome everybody to the Menomonee Falls Camera Club meeting. We're going to get started with our evening presenter, Hazel Meredith. Hazel is an award-winning photographer and a sought-after teacher, speaker, and competition judge. She began teaching in 2007 and now does seminars at camera clubs and conferences across the US, both in person and virtual. She offers her own workshops and webinars and has done webinars for several software companies. She has written 2 ebooks on working with textures and released 2 creative courses she and her husband Dave produce, the Virtual Creative Photography Conference with attendees from around the world. Hazel loves the creative aspect of photography and post-processing, especially the use of textures and software to create unique images. She is actively involved, with the photographic community and has held leadership roles and received honorary distinctions from several organizations. In the fall of 2020, she was the recipient of the Ashbrook Award for Digital Imaging Instruction from the Photographic Society of America. Tonight, I've forgotten the title, Hazel, but it's something with
It's
textures and
creative floral portraits with textures and
Yeah,
plugins.
thank you. I've done so many of these, I'm
I know.
getting to the point.
They start to
Can't
run
remember.
together, right?
Yeah, they do. But thank you, Hazel, for coming.
No problem.
We'll let you
Go
get
ahead.
going right
Share
away.
my screen, and that's our title there.
Yep, there it is.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me back again. Love to be with you. As mentioned, tonight we're going to do some floral portraits and do some of my favorite techniques with textures and some plugin programs. I do have the chat box open, so if you have any questions, you can either unmute yourself or go ahead and put it in the chat. Either way, I welcome questions throughout. Just pop in there anytime you want. And so with that, let's get rolling. So today I downloaded the new version of Photoshop and all my adjustments were gone. So I went back to the old version because I didn't uninstall that one yet. So we'll figure that out tomorrow.
Yeah, it's always fun when that stuff disappears.
Yeah, it's like it shows adjustments, but it's blank. It's like, well, okay, well, that doesn't work so well.
Wow.
So
yeah,
I'm like, that's a weird one.
That's a nice new panel.
Yeah. Doesn't really do me a whole lot of good though. So I went, like I said, I left the old version installed, luckily, so I didn't have to reinstall it, and we'll just go with that.
Yeah.
So tonight I'm going to start with images that I've already done the basic editing on. Some of them I'm going to show you kind of where I came from because they are somewhat dramatic. So this first one, I'm going to show you the original, which was a cell phone image, a real just blah kind of nothing type of an image. And I love to take images like that and see what I can do with them. That's kind of my fun thing to do. So from that, I have this. And I edited this one. I'm pretty sure I used Luminar. And I got rid of that flower that was in the background down here, squared it up, got rid of all that excess up here, brightened it up, added some nice colors. So it's still kind of a plain image, and the butterflies, yeah, fairly good, but not super sharp. So we're going to use some textures and give this a more creative look. So all of the textures I'm using tonight are my own. I do sell my textures in my online store, and at the end of the night, I'll give you some of my contact info. So the first thing I'm going to do here is add this one I call Peacock Bokeh Blend. It's kind of peacock colors. And I'm going to take this texture. And by the way, it just kind of appeared on my screen because I work with 2 monitors. And I'm going to bring that in again because I didn't want to stretch it that way. So I'm dragging from my other monitor. I'll show you in a second how to bring in a texture if you're just working with 1 monitor and make it easier. So because these are circles, I don't really want to just stretch it out to the size of my image like I started to do. So I'm going to hold my Alt key, and it will let me stretch it both directions at the same time. It'd be Option on a Mac. And then from here, hey, where'd it go? I think I hit the wrong button. Not off to a good start, are we? Let's try that again. Hit the check mark. Okay, now we have it on top. So now our texture layer is on top of our subject layer. And the key to working with textures is changing your blending mode and opacities. So we're going to change this one to soft light. And I did leave the opacity at 100%. I did want to take the texture off of my subjects because it made the butterfly a little too bright, but I like the way I got the bokeh in the background. So the easy way to do this, to add the mask, you could either add a layer mask and just use a brush to do it, or I'm going to click on my background layer and go up to my selection tool, go to my quick selection tool, and click on select subject. We're going to let Photoshop help us simplify this process. So we're going to take a look here and see if it got everything, which it looks like it did. I'll zoom in a little. I'm going to add a little bit in the middle here to my subject. So we're just going to click on a couple of these spots, and it even got a pretty good job on the antenna. So that looks pretty good for now. I could really fine tune it around every, little point of this flower, but for now that will be fine. And I'm going to go back to my texture layer and then hit the add a mask icon, and that will create my mask, except that that's actually in reverse, right? Because now it's got the texture on the subject and not the background. So we're going to do a Control I and invert that mask. It'd be a Command I on a Mac. So now we have our texture just on the background and not on our subject. And then the other thing I decided to do is, because I'm going to leave this, I have the mask here, I want to lower the density of this mask a little to let just a little bit of that texture on it. So if we double click in the mask, we get the properties panel, and density is like opacity. So I'm going to bring this back a little bit. And I didn't want it to look too stark to the background. I wanted it to look blended with it. So you can see this is a little bit grayer now because we're letting a little bit of that texture onto our subject. Next, I'm going to bring in some grasses because I thought it needed something at the bottom here. So I'm going to bring this one in, and I'm just going to pull this down. And I'm not going to stretch it because I'm just want to use this near the bottom of my image. We're going to change again our blending mode to soft light. And I left it at 100. And now this time I am going to just add a layer mask. And I'm going to grab a brush. I'm going to use a soft round brush. And the foreground is black. I'll make that a little bit bigger. And I'm going to bring the opacity of the brush down to about 75%. And then you can kind of see the line here where this texture ended. So I'm just going to blend that a little bit and then make sure I don't have it on my subject because it changes the color too much. It's okay on the stems here because the grass is in front of the subject then. But I'm just using my brush and we'll take the opacity down a little bit more so we can kind of really blend it. And just till it looks natural so you don't really see the edges of that. Kind of like that. And you can fine tune it if you've painted too much, just switch to white. You can always add a little bit back in. And kind of blend it like that. And then I decided to move this layer below the first texture. And sometimes that's a good way to play with textures because it sometimes makes it blend better. So the bokeh is now on top of this grass and not behind it. And I like the way that looked better. And we're going to bring in one more. This is one of my Cosmos textures. And that's almost the size already. Oh, and I'm going to bring that to the top. Anytime you add a layer, it always adds above whatever layer was highlighted, which I was on that layer. So we can just bring that one to the top. And this one I'm going to change to multiply to darken it a little, but bring the opacity down to about 35%. Well, there. And now I also want to take some of that off of here. So I'm going to copy the mask from this layer to this layer. And the way we do that is select the mask, hold down your Alt or Option key, and then click and drag. So now it saves you the time of redoing that. And then the last thing I want to do is add a little bit of a vignette. And you can use a program like Nick or some of the others that have that built into it, but you can also create your own vignette easily here in Photoshop. So I'm going to add a blank layer and I'm going to fill that with black. So I'm going to do an Alt or backspace or it's Option Delete on a Mac. Come up to my elliptical marquee tool. Put my cursor almost up into the top corner. Click and drag down to about there. Now I want to soften this circle. If I deleted it right now, we'd have a very hard edge, which is not what we want to do. So I'm going to go up to Select, Modify, and Feather. And I usually leave it at 250 for my vignettes, so because it's nice and soft. We'll say OK. And then just hit either your Delete or Backspace key to knock out that center. Control D will deselect, and of course that's much too dark. So we're going to change this blending mode. You can just lower the opacity, but for this one I tried changing the blending mode because I really wanted it to be soft. And by changing it to soft light, it makes it take on some of the color of the subject. It's not just a gray. And then we're going to bring our opacity way down to about 20%. So you can see the before and the after. Very subtle that way. And that's our first image. So again, when you're working with textures, obviously I know which ones I'm using on this project because I've done it before. But people always ask me, well, how do you know what textures to choose and how do you start? And I usually will start by bringing in maybe half a dozen things that I think might work with my image. And then try some blending modes, turn turn the layers on and off and kind of see how they look. I did do a webinar, one of my monthly webinars last summer, I think it was, on how do I choose the textures. So normally like this, I would have everything already pre-selected. That webinar, I did it live on how I brought some textures in and tried them and applied them. And so that's a good one you can check out on my YouTube channel. And you can link through everything through my website, which is meredithimages.com. If you go to the webinar page, there's about halfway down the page, there's a link to a list of all of the webinars I've done, which are 35 of them since 2020. And
Okay.
and it actually gives you a description of what each one was about, so that you
Oh,
can
great.
yeah, I think it was either, I want to say it was either August or October of last year that I did that one.
Okay,
So
I'll definitely look that up and give everybody those links.
yeah, it's I have a sheet too I can send you afterwards, Jeffrey. You can send out, has all my
Okay.
contact info and a lot of my
Yeah.
affiliate links and that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And they can check that out. All right, so I'm gonna close that one. So next up, I'm gonna start with this one. And this image was just a spider mum that I had an arrangement at home and took this photo in my kitchen. This is a piece of scrapbook paper behind it. So another great place to find textures is photographing, not only things that you see when you're out shooting, but these are scrapbook papers make great backgrounds. I like things with like writing on them like that and stuff. So I just photographed it right in front of that.
That's neat.
Yeah, and this one actually I played around a little bit with, because this one had some glitter on it, so it looked, I kind of went almost a black and white, kind of like a little bit of a sepia tone with the background when I process this whole thing, just so that it would be less obtrusive in the background, just give it something
Sure.
subtle. But now we're going to
Yeah.
put a couple of other things on top of it. So we're going to first bring in, again, one of mine, and this one is like a kind of graduated from purple to tan. So we're going to stretch that one out, say okay. Again, we're going to go with soft light, and we're going to leave that at 100%. So it's really a very subtle one. And then we're going to bring in this kind of grunge gray one that I created. And I don't think that one should be soft light, the first one, because that's too light. Let's change that. I change that to multiply. Yeah, I think I'm changing my mind because it wasn't showing up the way it was looking in my picture. So we're going to go with, I want a little bit more of that purple to show. Let's try that. That's part of the process, thinking about things and seeing how they react. And sometimes it changes once you bring in something else. And this one I am going to try. I'm going to do multiply. And the reason I want to do multiply on this gray is when you have an area like the center of this that's mostly white, multiply is going to drop out that white and just pick up the darker tones in the image. So by using multiply, you'll see we've just picked up all of the dark areas and that white has disappeared. And we'll drop that to about there. And then to add even a little bit more purple to this, maybe that's why that one didn't show up so well, because I did add another layer. So this time we're going to add a blank layer, and I'm going to add a color. So I'm going to click on my foreground color picker. And because I have done this before, I have the number of the color is DDCDFB. Normally you would just pick what you wanted and then kind of click around in here. Say okay. And then I'm going to fill that layer with that. So again, it's my Alt backspace. And then we're going to change that to multiply and 75%. So let's come back to this one. Let's go back to our soft light and 100%. There we go. Now it looks more like my finished one. Sometimes it's a matter of playing around, changing the percentages, trying different blending modes, sometimes trying different textures as well.
Yeah.
But just wanted to give it, you know, more of a pop of color, but yet you picked up the texture from that background rather than adding a lot of textures. And I like ones like this that kind of have like a border. It's almost a built-in vignette, so you don't have to add a vignette. And if that's too strong for you, you can always bring back the opacity a little bit more and play around with it that way.
Well, that's a neat part with the blending modes and
Mhm.
the opacity slider.
Yeah,
Gives
for
you so
sure.
many options.
Yep. So you can fine tune things to just the way you like them. So that one was a fairly simple one. We're going to go into one that has a few more steps to. So I'm going to show you my original on this one. This was taken on, this was a while ago. So I'm not sure if it was still my 70D or it might have been my 40D, my Canon. Again, just, it was a very overcast day. I didn't get the exposure perfect. Images, I like to take these ones that are, I call them, you know, ho-hum and turn it into a work of art. That's my books. And it's just like an image that's would basically have been a throwaway, but we're going to make it look a whole lot better. So we're going to open up my edit. I'm going to open up the TIFF version and you can see what I did to edit this one. So I used Topaz Photo AI to sharpen and denoise it. And then I used Luminar to process it. And that's where I ended up, as this is my starting image now. So from this one, I'm going to bring in my, this is a texture I use a lot. I love this one. It just works with so many different things. And I'm going to rotate this. We're going to edit, transform, 90-degree counterclockwise. Or you can put your cursor up here and just drag it. And then we're going to stretch that one out. And I did want to eliminate this kind of darker blue area. So I'm going to stretch this out a little bit farther. About like that. Kind of get rid of some of that area. So you're not always limited to having your texture just be the size of your image. So we're going to change this one to soft light. And about 79%. And you can see that one, it just started adding a little bit of almost a glow in here. The brighter area of that texture just started pulling in almost some lighting effects in the middle. And then from here, we're going to pop in a preset or a plugin. I'm going to use Nick Analog Effects. So I'm going to filter. I can actually just open my panel down here. Go to my analog effects. Really?
Oh, don't you
'Cause
love that?
What the heck? Oy. God only knows where that is. I have a whole folder of keys, but I don't want to take time now. Well, that kind of stinks.
That's weird.
And the panel is here. It was working fine. I just used it on my Saturday for our webinar. It has to be because I did the update to Photoshop that it probably put it over there and took it out of here.
Yeah, maybe it
All right.
did.
No, let's try it without that one then. We'll add our textures and see what we can do with it. Well, that's not good though. If I may have to switch to the other Photoshop for the next set of projects that use more of the next stuff. Technology drives you crazy.
Yeah,
All right, so let's
Sick.
try this one.
keep updating everything. It drives you nuts.
It has to be from the upgrade because it was working fine on Saturday because we had our
Yeah.
conference. And so this one I'm going to change to soft light and bring it back about 41 out there. So it's always good to look at the before and after. You can kind of see what it's doing to your image. And I'm going to bring in another watercolor texture. And this one, also soft light. We're using a lot of soft light tonight.
Yeah.
And bring that tip out there. There we go. And now I'm going to bring in what's called a clipping mask or a crop shape. So because I'm going to want to clip my image to this shape, I want to create a merged layer or a stamped layer so that I don't have to flatten this project. It will create a layer that contains everything without flattening it. And the way we do this, it's also nicknamed the claw because you need so many fingers. It's Control Alt Shift E on a PC or Command Option Shift E on a Mac. And then I always rename this merged just so that I remember. And I'm going to do a Control J as well to duplicate it. So what I want to bring in is one of my, I call it a swash. And I'm going to stretch this out to almost meet the edges of the shape of the image. I'm going to cover most of the flower, but I'm trying to not touch the edges with the shape. And we can fine tune this more later as well. I might bring it up there a little bit. We'll say, okay. And then we're going to bring this below the duplicated layer. And I'm going to turn off everything but these two layers so you can see it happen. Oops, turn that one back on. And hold my Alt key or Option key and put the cursor between the layers till you get that little symbol and click once and it will clip this image to that. So it takes on that shape. And then we can create something else in the background because I thought the background was just really busy with lots of leaves and stuff in the background of that one. So I'm going to add a blank layer under this and we're going to fill it with a color. 6, 7, 4, 5, 2, 6. And say okay. And do our Alt backspace. And then if you wanted to adjust any of the edges of this shape, if you wanted to add a little more or, fill something in so like it wasn't clipping into the actual flower, you can just go back to your shape layer, click on a brush. And for this, I tend to use some of the, in the legacy brushes, the dry media brushes, this like Kyle chunky charcoal one is a good one for just to give you that irregular kind of an edge.
Mm-hmm.
And then we want to make that black. And then if you wanted to, stamp in here a little, you could bring all of the flower in. And then if you wanted to add a few more strokes around the edges, you could do that. So I'm just adding to that black shape by painting with this a little bit. So you're not limited to just what a shape, comes out to be. You can always play around with it a little bit more. And I'm going to show you the finished one that had the analog effects in it, so you can see the actual color, because this is a little bit different, a little bit brighter. Open up my finished. This is why I save my finished files. And that's what that one looked like when I did the analog effects. I'll show you what that. Let's see, we just do this, there, that one, and that was what the analog effects did to it. And then we added our textures and color, background, and our shape. So made it a little bit softer looking, and I thought it was, made it unique, and that would be pretty for a card. You could do some writing down here, do something very, very different in that way. Any questions from anybody? That all
Yeah, so far not.
making sense?
But
Yeah,
that
no.
layer, that special shape layer, that's basically just a black and white.
Yep, it's
Or any
black on
gray?
transparent, so it's a
Yeah.
PNG file. I can open up just that file and you can see what it looks like. So that's the shape that I brought in.
Yeah.
And this is one of a set I have with some different shapes, but sometimes I have some of these that are like borders or, different shapes that you can clip to something, and then you can put a different color in the, edge like we did here, to create a border. It's something different to, just give it a different look.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's close all of these. All right, and next we're going to take this. Let's see, what am I doing? Let me see if I need no, we're going to do a gradient map. Okay. I didn't see if I needed any of the plugins yet. It's going to be in the next kind of after this project. I'll switch to the other Photoshop. Hopefully I don't need it. Well, I think I could still do adjustment layers through there if I needed to. So this one I decided to do something. I wanted something different than color. I like the color image, but I decided to do a kind of a sepia tone. So we're going to do this in a few steps. So first I added a black and white adjustment layer. And I did change some of my settings. And by changing the colors, it gives you more or less contrast in the image in those different colors. So red I moved to like 22, and you can see it pulled down, made it a little bit darker. Yellow I lightened up just a little. Green, just a tweak. Cyan, we're going to really move that one a little bit more. Blue and magenta, I can leave there. So give it a little bit more contrast, a little more, depth to the colors. And then we're going to add a brightness and contrast layer. And I decided to add a little bit more contrast there. And then I'm going to use a gradient map to add some color. And what a gradient map does, and that's this icon on your adjustments bar, as opposed to a gradient that puts the color over everything, this will actually map the colors to the highlights and shadows of your image. So when you first open it, it usually defaults to this black and white, but we're gonna create our own gradient here. So I do have a bunch of presets. I have sets of my own and a bunch of others that I've downloaded. But you can create your own by just picking colors along this color stops here. So our 0 stop on the left, I'm going to click that box, click in the color picker, and I'm going to use 7, 3, 5, 4, 3, 5. And again, I started by, just playing around with different colors and finding the shades that I wanted. So you can see how that's starting to change the colors, and that's only doing the darkest areas of this image right now. I'm going to say, okay. And then we're going to set on this side, we're going to use FECA. So now we've added a little more yellowy color to the highlights. But now we need something to kind of fill in our midtones. So all you need to do is if you click along under here, and I want to go, I can move it around. I actually want it to be at 42, which is a number I chose after I probably picked the color. And do an F2, AD46. And then we're going to add one more stop on this side. Oh, say okay. Over here, I want it to be there. And this is going to be FEFBAC. And say okay. And then I'm going to change the blending mode of this because that's really bright. Obviously, we don't want it to be that bright. And the way that I started with this is I'm pretty sure I picked an existing gradient and then just changed colors. So I found something kind of in the sepia look and then played around with it. And that's how I came up with these colors. So again, it's something to just try and practice with, you know, practice with some downloadable ones, or, you know, if you
Yeah.
go to this website, it's called Resource Boy. He's got a ton of free stuff. All of these were free. And you can download, I mean, there's hundreds of different gradients, and he's got some really cool stuff in here. In my Wednesday blog, I always share things like that I find online. But that's a good place to go find some. So from here, I'm going to change the blending mode of that layer to multiply, and then bring back the opacity to about there. And then I went back into my brightness adjustment layer and brought up the brightness just a little bit. And that's how I got to there. So there's many ways you could create that. You could use even, you know, some of the Nick products, in Silver Effects, there's some really nice sepia effects too.
Yeah.
But I like to, you know, kind of see how things work sometimes and what can I do that's different. And it, you know, that's just another way that you could create your own look by creating a gradient map.
Yeah, I've never used the gradient map in all the years I've played.
I've
Well,
used
that's
it. I use it a
interesting.
lot with, you know, when I'm creating textures, if you want to change the colors of them and stuff. It's a good way to do it, but and there's lots of different things you can do with it. And like I said, a gradient overlays the color on here. So if I just did a regular gradient, let's just so you can kind of see the difference. If I just went to the gradient filter and chose something, we can actually try the same colors. That's the one I just created. And say, okay, and where am I? And we would just draw that from like dark to light. Oh, it changed. Why did it change? There we go. Okay.
Just doesn't want to cooperate.
Oh,
does it?
because I need another layer, that's why. All right, let's try that again. There we go. So now we've drawn our gradient. I'm drawing it, you know, straight up and down. So now, you know, the gradient is the gradient. So it's going to go from dark to light in a linear gradient and not necessarily the way we want it to work. So it's not going to apply it to the shadows and the highlights. It's going to apply it, which is great if you were adding a gradient to like a sky. You know, you want to darken the top of the sky or something. I've used them that way, but it doesn't really work if you know, to do the kind of colorization that we just did. So that's
Yeah.
kind of the difference between the two.
No, that's interesting.
So, all right. So now let's see, I'm going to start using some presets, including Nick. So I'm going to switch to, I guess, the new version of Photoshop. And hopefully it will
And
work.
see if it works there.
Cross our fingers. Gonna let this one close. Does your Photoshop take like forever to close? I've noticed that the last couple versions.
Some days, yeah.
It just like, come on.
I have too
just
much
wanna
that it
close
goes up into the cloud, I think, and I think sometimes that slows it down for me.
That could
Mine
be.
isn't quite this slow though.
It's been like this for like the last probably 3 versions of Photoshop. It just like
Yeah.
30 seconds or so to, I mean,
No,
opening, I know it's loading everything and all that, but
yeah.
it's like,
No, it hasn't
really?
been quite that slow for me, but I'm using a fairly new Mac that's
My computer's
really
pretty fast.
powerful.
It's a little bit older, but it was a custom built, you know, and pretty speedy.
Yeah.
But so let's go over here and get the right
Yeah, you
one.
just never know what
This is the new
does some of
one.
that.
I know, it's frustrating at days. Let's see. Hopefully all my other ones loaded into the filter menu properly. We shall see.
Well, and I've had fun with the Nick filters that I found out that when I use that side panel, it looks at all the layers and creates a merged layer automatically. But if I do it from the drop down menu, then it only works from the top layer that I'm
I'll
working
show
on.
you the setting. You can change that.
Yeah,
There,
which is fine because
that's how
I
it
don't.
used to always be.
Yeah.
And that's why I started, like, if you use Topaz or Luminar or a lot of other things, they don't create their own layer like Nick does. But Nick used to always still see just that one layer. So I would do that merged, you know, stamped layer before I did that. But
And
there is a place that you can change that. And
well, I thought I had changed it too, but it still kept working that way.
That's weird.
And if I used the panel, it always worked just the way I thought it should. But when I didn't use the panel.
Yeah, if you come down to the bottom and hit this little settings gear wheel, there's a setting to apply filter to the image composite. And that's something, I think it was like version 4 I first saw that.
And I've got it that way, and it works as long as I use the panel.
Menu, it doesn't.
Yeah, but if I do the drop down filter
back.
menu, it does.
They just showed up. They weren't there earlier.
Well,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Photoshop ghosts are working in the background.
Oh, Lordy. I tell you, some days.
Yep.
All right. So we're not going to actually start with Nick, though. We're going to use something else first. And this is a company I discovered because they also make apps for your phones. It's a company called JixiPix, Jixipix. And they've got a ton of stuff. And the cool thing too, the last few years in December, they do a 12 days of Christmas specials. So a lot of the phone apps, I've got like, I think 15 of them on my phone. Most of them I've gotten for free. So in their 12 days of Christmas, they'll either do a free app or, you know, maybe a half price on something on online, you know, one of the desktop apps. They do have a bundle of apps, and it's like 18 apps for, shoot, I forget the regular price. I think it's like $149 or $119. Let's take a quick look. I'll show you where they are real quick if anybody wants to take a look at them.
Yeah, I think after the one where I presented.
At the conference.
I saw the JixiPix, and I've already picked up 2 of them.
Yeah, and you can buy them individually, but it's actually a really good deal to do the I think it's under professional. Yeah, this this is the one I have, the premium pack. Yeah, it's 18, it's $119.99. And I actually have a code. I'll put it in the chat box for you. It's still working. They gave me this a while ago, and it gives you 30% off.
Oh, okay.
Work 23.
Yeah, I can't remember. I just so far I've just picked two of
Yeah,
them.
and
But
in the list I'm going to send you, it has my affiliate link. If anybody wants to link through there, I appreciate it. I
Okay.
get a few bucks out of it too.
Sure.
But if you use this code, that'll save it. So it brings it down to like 80 something dollars. So it's not too bad. And there's a lot of cool stuff. I'm going to show you a couple of these. So let's go back to our Photoshop.
Yeah.
So this one does not make
showing
its
me all
own
this
layer.
good
So
stuff.
I always do a Control J and duplicate it. And first we're going to go into, and these show up under your filter menu. You'll see Jixi Pics. You can see this is the whole bundle. And I'm going to use Artista Oil, which is like an impressionistic, kind of filter. And let's go. And what I like about their stuff is they all have the same interface. Even the phone apps look like this, and they're all customizable. So whatever, and it will randomly pick a preset when you first open it. So you may or may not like that one. I'm going to use under this impressionism category, number 2. Okay. I gotta wait. And then once you apply something, ew, that's not the one I wanted. Impressionism. Did they move them around? Holy moly. It's not the color I wanted. That's what's in my notes. All right, let's try something different. It's closer to what I wanted. So again, when you come in here, it's just like textures. You got to try a few things, kind of see what looks good on your particular image. Let's play with that one a little bit.
Meredith,
Yes.
I think you were under expressionism rather than impressionism, because if I'm looking at the screen, you have the second one, but that's
Yeah.
yes.
This was oil and this is impressionism, which is where it's
Okay,
supposed
yeah.
to be.
If you
Oh
go
yeah, I
straight-
see that. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Yep.
Okay.
Thank you. I just was
You're
looking
welcome.
at the numbers. Yeah. I didn't even look at the word. I'm like, that's definitely not the color I wanted. There we go. That's the one I wanted. Okay. Thank you. So we're going to start with that. And then once you find a preset that you kind of like, you can make a bunch of changes. And these will be different depending on which product you're using of theirs. So you can change the brush size. And I brought that down a little. So like how big the brush strokes are, the depth of the bristle strokes, the variation in the strokes, and I brought that all the way up. You can change the canvas texture and how strong that is. So we have a canvas texture, and in here is a bunch of different canvases. And I went with number 9, which also changes the border. And then I made, and the edge zoom will change the like width of the edges here. So if we go to like 16, it makes it a little less of the border. And then to apply this to your photo, you just go to the upper left and it says apply to photo. Another cool thing they have in all of their programs, if you look in the upper right, it's a set of dice, and that will randomly apply a preset out of this product. So it's it's a fun thing to do, like if you're doing them like on your phone or an iPad, and sitting watching TV and you want to play around with some pictures, it's kind of like roll the dice and see what you get. And sometimes they look really cool and sometimes not so much, but it's kind of fun to see what the product can do, and it gets you familiar with some of the looks that it has. So we're going to just apply this to our photo. Yeah, so once you've gotten something from this company, whether it's an app or something online, you'll get emails for the holiday promotion, and each of the sales are only good for that one day. So you really have to check it every day once they start it to see if there's something that you want. And there you
Okay.
go. And then I lowered the opacity of this layer a little bit to pull back just a little bit on the effect. So that's one thing I did with this flower. So I'm going to hide this layer for a moment, and we're going to duplicate this again. And we're going to do a different Jixie Pix product. So up to our filters, Jixie Pix, and we're going to do Moku Hanga. And this is like you see it's like a Japanese style graphic type of a thing. And the one I'm going to use is multi-color thin outline, low color. And then I'm going to change the vibrancy to 40. Outline smoothing here. And bring down the width of the outlines to about there. And paper tint here. And then we're going to apply it. I was kind of seeing what I could do to get like that kind of a sketch effect, cartoony, type look. Something very different than our pastel one. So you can come up with all different kinds of things to work with, on your photos. Oh, don't worry, Ellen, happens all the time. She called me Meredith. Don't worry, everybody does it. So that's what happens when you have two first names. I'm used to it. So that's those two. And this is a cool way to try a bunch of things without like saving, reopening, and that kind of thing, is just hide the layer, duplicate a layer, and go on to something else.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do that with another one as we go along. So next we're going to do some tulips. This was another one I took at home. Just put them in this container I had this old piece of lace, and somehow I picked up a lot of discoloration, which I didn't see on it. But when we get to the textures, you're not gonna, or the effects we're gonna do, that's not gonna show. I have done another version of this before where I turned the background black and white and just left the flowers, but for what we're gonna do now, we don't need to do that. So actually, I am gonna do that, I guess. Yep, I did do that on this one, sorry. So we're going to do a black and white layer. And we're going to change our settings a bit. So red, I'm going to go to, and I'm just looking at the background and what it's doing. I'm really not worrying about the flowers because I'm going to mask it off of that. And green. And cyan. And blue. And magenta will leave. So we've got a nice black and white background. Like we did with our other, I'm going to go down to our subject layer and do our quick selection and select subject. And I think it does a pretty, I went through when I did my other version and spent a whole lot of time really fine tuning it, but this is a pretty decent selection for what we need right now. So then we're going to come back up to our mask And I'm going to get rid of this mask. And I'm just going to add the layer mask. And then we're going to invert that. Control I. So now we have our flowers, and I see we're got some in the middle here. Let's just quickly brush that one area anyway. So we don't have a hole in our flowers. And we're on the mask, and let's just paint that one in. And a little bit on our leaf here. That will be fine for now. Obviously, you would be much more, you know, precise and picky and get all your little details, but this is more about the cool stuff we're going to do. Okay. So now we are going to go to our Nick and let's see if it works now. Let's try our analog effects, hopefully. Please. Shoot.
Yeah. Yeah, and they don't even let you do it. Yeah, I know how frustrating that is, especially.
Yeah. Because I usually check all that stuff, but I just used it all, so I wouldn't have expected it to not work all of a sudden.
Yeah.
All right, so this is where I ended up. So I'll just kind of walk you through it. So that was our original. I did AI clear and detail in Topaz. I did studio basic correction preset. And then we did our black and white merged layer, merged copy. And this was the analog effects one that I was trying to get into to show you. Let's get that out of the way. And it's not it's one of those presets that you sometimes see some in a menu and you go, what would I ever use that for? But then I tried it on here. I was like, oh, that's pretty dramatic. I really like that. And then conversely, again, because like I like to do a couple different versions. I'll open up. I have another one here. I did in Color Effects Pro, I did this version, which was, what did I use? Classical Soft Focus Diffusion was the preset. And then I added a little bit of Glamour Glow as well. So two very different looks, you know, from the same image. You could go very dramatic or very subtle and soft. So it just depends, you know, what you want to end up with. Let's see what else we got. So our next one is a Christmas cactus. So this one I did in Skylum. So this one we can hopefully do. Let's give it a shot. All right. So this was there was a Christmas cactus at a botanical garden that I took an image of, and I toned down the background. And so we're going to duplicate that, and we'll go into Skylum and our Luminar Neo. And it takes a few seconds to open.
Yeah, Neo.
This one always takes a it takes a while to open, and it takes a while to export it back. Oh, good Lord.
And of course, there's a
yeah, well, we'll do that later. All right. So when you come into Luminar, if you're not familiar with Neo, it opens up to the preset tab. I'm not going to use a preset on this one. I'm going to go into the edit tab. And we have a whole bunch of things we can do here. So Luminar Neo is now a subscription. It was an outright purchase originally. You can still purchase it separately. I really think the subscription is worth it. It's cheaper and you get constant updates, and you also get what they call now extensions, which are, right now there's 8 of them. Some are available here in the panel and some are only in the standalone version of it. There's an HDR merge, there's a panoramic merge, and a couple other things are in the standalone. And then in here we have noiseless, super sharp, and magic light. They also just released 2 others this week, which is what I need to update. A glow and neon light, where you can kind of do neon effects in your images. Yeah, there's some pretty cool things. And they also have a great sky replacement, which I know Photoshop now has. They actually had it before Photoshop came out with it. So I'm going to go down to, in my creative section, we have one called Mystical. And these are some of the more creative kind of things. And I'm going to bring the amount all the way up. My shadows to 50 and smoothness to 70. And then I'm going to come back up to color. I brought my saturation down and vibrance up. And then come back to develop and raise my exposure just a little. Highlights up. So I was going for something very dramatic on this one. I always like to get an image looking as good as I can before I start doing this kind of stuff. So I had done some editing on that, but now we're into doing something a little more dramatic. And I brought my shadows way down. And we're going to apply that. So we went from that to that. And I wanted to clean up a few more of these spots in the background. So I'm going to add a blank layer and start with the healing brush and see if we can just get rid of some of those lighter areas back here. You can do it on the same layer. Sometimes it's good to do it on a separate layer. So if you don't like the way something comes out, you can easily just delete that layer. Just make sure if you do use a separate layer, the sample all layers is checked so that it can see the layer below it. Make this a little bit bigger. And that looks pretty good. I got a little more here. Okay. And then because I do want to go, I'm going to go back into Skylum. I'm going to do that merged layer, Control-Alt-Shift-E. And let's go back into Skylum. And I did a little bit of hue and saturation adjustments, which I could do here in Photoshop as well. But since I did it in Neo before, we'll do it that way again. So we're going to go to our Edit tab. And come into our color. And under hue saturation, I'm going to go into my saturation, bring the greens down, the purple up, and the blue up. So we're adding back a little bit of that color that we pulled out there. And we'll apply that. And then I did do a nick effect, and I'll show you the final because I can't apply that. I went into the Nick color effects, and there's a category for film effects, vintage. And we'll open this up and I'll show you that. And that was my, oops, wrong one. One more. That was the one before it. So that was after the all of the Luminar stuff. And this was the film effects. So that was before it and after. It just gave it that little bit more faded look that I was going for. So that's, you know, compared to where we started. That was before I did anything with the background. That was the original image. And then to that. So you can always, you know, take those images that, you know, have the distracting backgrounds, maybe aren't perfect, and play around with them, and you can really come up with some cool stuff. So this is all about giving you some inspiration to try some neat things. And I'm going to show you one more with a different plugin. We're going to use Smart Photo Editor. And this is a great little program. It's not expensive. It comes both as just a standalone version is $29.95. If you want to be able to use it as a preset as well, which is what I have, it's $49.95. When it first came out, it was only standalone. And a few years ago, they came out with a plug-in version, which I love to do. And all of I mean, there are literally thousands of effects in here. They are created by users of the program, which is cool. So this area, this flower was one, you know, I've already processed. It's kind of a basic. And I did want to get rid of these dark areas here and replace it with another part of the petal to make it look like a continuation of the flower. I just want to turn that one off. We're going to go to this layer. I'm going to select this area and this area. And then I want to go over the edge of the petals a little bit so I don't get a darker line there. So I'm going to go to my select, modify, and expand it. Let's do like 3 pixels. So you can see it's overlapping those edges just a little. And then I'm just going to hit my delete key to get rid of them. And then I'm going to use my lasso tool. And I'm going to select part of this petal and do a Control J, and that will put it on a separate layer. When you do a Control J, when you first open an image, nothing is selected, so it will duplicate the whole layer. If you do a Control or Command J, when you have a selection, it will move just that selection onto a separate layer. And then I can kind of move this into position. And I'm going to move it behind that. Can you get the darker area there? And then we can do that again here. Oops, make a selection. Control J. Bring that underneath. Use the move tool. Whoops, not that layer. That layer. Okay. Let's lock that layer because it wants to move on me. So we're going to move that one. There we go.
Oh, auto select is on.
Oh, that's why. I always, yeah, sometimes it does that.
I know, it drives me nuts when it kicks in
Yeah.
when you don't want it.
Usually it's easier to have it on, but sometimes not.
Yeah.
But I could just lock that layer. We'll do that. Okay, so then we're going to do our merged layer because I want all this in one layer. And you could technically flatten this one if you wanted to at this point. I'll just call that merged. And we'll duplicate it. So now we're going to go into our Smart Photo Editor, which is by Anthropics. And I'm going to do a couple of different effects, actually 4 different effects on this same flower to kind of give you an idea of some of the different things you can do. So this one, we're going to go, you can do full editing in here. I use it mostly for the effects. I first learned about this program from Mike Moats years ago, and this is all he uses for most of his editing. He doesn't use Photoshop. He uses a little bit of Elements, but that's about it. And I'm going to type in the name because I know what it is, but you can, because there are 690 pages of 12 on a page, you would be here
Wow.
for a long time, but you can narrow them down depending what you're looking to do. If you wanted to do like a watercolor oil type thing, I use the watercolor ones a lot, or you can go style, like if you wanted to do an antique look or the grunge look or retro or, you know, any of these, you can narrow it down that way as well. But because I've done these before, I'm going to type in the name of the effect. And this one is Explore. And there it is. And from there, we're going to say, okay. And there are sometimes minor tweaks you can do to these depending on the effect itself. Sometimes I'll do a little bit of something there, but generally not a whole lot. And then to go back to our Photoshop, we just go File, Save and Return. And the first time you go into it for the day, it'll do this update because there's constantly new effects being added. So it will just update that portion. It only happens like the first time you use it that day, or it won't do it every time.
Yeah, I think I had this program at one time,
Mhm.
but boy, it must have been a lot of years ago. And it didn't have all that stuff in it. It had
Yeah.
some, but not near as
Yeah,
much.
it's constantly, you know, people are constantly adding stuff. So that's effect number 1. So a very, you know, kind of watercolory type of an effect. And this is kind of what we did earlier. I'm just going to turn that one off, go to that merge layer and reduplicate it. And then we can go back in and do something else. So I'm going to end up with 4 effects all in this same file. And then if you want to, if you like them, you can click on that one and save it, you know, do a save as and save it as your JPEG to each one. I do this a lot of times with the textures I do in the Sunday sampler, my free textures I give away. I'll take a texture and I'll play around in here and find some different effects to do on it. So when you first come back in, because that original image is still open, it shows this effect. So you can just cross that one out and then go back to your effects gallery. And this one is called, I think it's vintage. Oh, if I could type would help. I'm gonna come up. And sometimes they don't. Oh, here it is here. Yeah. Okay, so that's going to be, and you just have to say okay to accept that when you're searching that way. And that one's interesting. So then we, and you could, you know, sometimes it's just a matter of changing the effects a little. Let me reset that because I like the original. And save and return. And then you could always add an adjustment layer if you wanted to tone that down a little bit. You know, you could do a like a brightness adjustment and clip it to that layer. And just, you know, if you wanted to bring it down or desaturate it a little bit, you know, you can make adjustments and just clip it to that one layer. And then we can turn that one off, go back here, Control J. And get rid of that one. By Andrew. I thought that one was quite dramatic, very different than the last one.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't click my OK first. And I'll hide that one. Control J, we'll do one more. Get rid of that one. Okay. Again, I spent a lot of time going through a whole bunch of things before I found a few that I kind of liked. So I thought that one was kind of nice. I mean, this was our original, which is very bright. So that's kind of a more muted look. This one's really dark and dramatic. Then we've got really bright and kind of a painterly look. So you can get lots of different effects. And then I would save this file as a TIFF and then save each one that I like out as a JPEG or as another TIFF if you prefer, and be able to play around with them from there. And there you have it.
Now you got me buying another program.
Yeah, I'll send you my list because it has all my affiliate links too. And they used to give us discounts for pretty much everybody used to give you discount codes, and now they only do them for special promotions. It's become a tough market out there, a lot of competition these days, and people aren't, don't give them away as much as they used to, unfortunately, for their affiliates. But even, Skylum doesn't, Topaz, none of them really do the codes like they used to.
Yep.
So let me throw up my one last slide here. And this has some of my basic info. And like I said, I'll send you something when we get offline. This is my blog. I blog twice a week on Wednesdays and Sundays. And that's the website. Our next conference is February, and we do another one in June. And Jeffrey was at our last one this past June. And then I do Barnes and Backroads workshops here in Tennessee if you want to come south and visit. And then right now we've got the Route 66 ones. We're hopefully doing it again next year. And then I have my textures and ebooks and courses on the website.
Yep,
I hope you enjoyed it. Sorry for the technical glitches. Just one of those
always
things
seems to happen.
Yeah, I'm usually pretty lucky. I don't usually have too many issues, but I don't know what happened with Nick, because that just is weird that my code doesn't even work. So
yeah,
I'll have to email my rep and say, I have a problem.
yeah.
Sometimes I learn more through the glitches than I do during some of their tutorials, because it's like, what did I do? How do I get out of it? And how can I avoid it next time?
For sure. Let me stop sharing my screen. And you never know what's gonna, happen and all that. So you just got to roll with the punches.
Yep. There's always something, and with the way they keep updating and bringing out all the new updates to all these programs, it's hard to keep up.
For sure.
Well, I did buy Luminar after I saw your last, was that at Waco or at Digital Forum? I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I haven't used it yet, but at least I bought it. It's there.
Yeah. And I have webinars on that too, that I've done with Luminar. So if you can
Okay.
pick up a few more things from there. And they've got some tutorials, I think, on their website as well.
Okay.
I always tell people just kind of jump in. Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory as to what the functions are. And there's actually on the toolbars, there's a little like an I at the end if you want to find out more details about that particular tool. But just, yeah, you can't break it. You know, you bring in a picture, play and try things. And that, for me, that's the best way to learn. I like hands-on learning. I can watch tutorials when I need to for certain things, but I like to kind of just play.
Right.
And I think that's the best way to really, you know, move the slider, see what they do. What is it going to, you know, do to your image? And you don't like it, you start over. Yeah. That's the beauty of the digital part. You're not limited to, you know, locked in to something that you've done.
Yeah, it's nice. You can do several versions just on one picture.
Yeah, I started doing that when I was playing around with the different versions of my textures, and I'm like, oh, this is a better way to do it than saving each one and reopening a file, and, you know, just keep them on separate layers, duplicate your original, and makes it a lot, it saves space on the computer and just makes it easier to find them all. And then, you know, like I said, trying a couple different things, especially in a program like Smart Photo Editor, you can pick the one you like the best, or a couple, or, you know, good way to try it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, it looks like fun. Yeah, that
Yeah.
one looks like an interesting program too. So
It is.
yeah, I have a
All
bad enough problem with equipment. Now I'm gonna get back into all the program plugins.
Gonna have to
Keeps you
buy
out of
that
trouble,
equipment
right?
back.
Yeah. Jeez.
All righty.
Anybody else have any questions?
I thank you again for having me.
Yeah. Thank you,
Yeah.
Hazel, for coming.
No problem. Hope to
As
see you
Always
all
usual.
again.
something new and
Interesting.
different. Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
And if you ever have any questions, always feel free to contact me.
Thank you.
I love hearing from people. All righty, I'll let you guys finish your meeting. Have a good
All
evening.
right. Well,
Take care,
thank you,
everybody.
Hazel.
Thank you
As we
again.
say, the check's in the mail, so.
No problem.
Thank you, Hazel.
All righty, we'll see y'all soon.
Have a good
Use
evening.
Apple
You
Thank
Pay.
too.
you.
Bye.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, Jeff, you want to make some announcements you were wanting to?
Sure, you want me to do that now? I can do that now, quick.
Yeah, sure.
Let me just,
When you're doing that real quick, I'll just remind everyone to pay their $20 dues for the Menomonee Falls Camera Club if they have not done that yet.
yes. We have quite a few members have signed up. You can do it online, of course. The dues are, we have the new buttons that will let you pay with a credit card, so it's a little easier. Let's see. So I'm working on our new website, and this is let me just hide some of my stuff here so I can see it. So okay, too many screens, can't find the cursor. So we've got a new website going, or we're going to have a new website going soon, and this is our homepage, just to let everybody sort of see what it is. It fills up quite a bit of a page. But what I need from the members is the members gallery. Because I'm creating a whole new website, I'd have to download every image for everybody's gallery from the old site one at a time. And that's just too much work. So what I'd like everybody to do as you get a chance, this is how the gallery is going to look. We need a head and shoulder shot, and then a short description of some of the stuff that you like to photograph or what you like about photography and that. And then about 15 to 20 images to put into a gallery. And I'm still deciding which. I think we're still going to do this kind of gallery where it just changes automatically. And the people can actually advance it if they wanted to, or it will automatically advance every 5 seconds. So what I'm asking from everybody is please put together. It's nice to have the head and shoulder shot so that everybody knows who you are, because since we don't get together face to face, we just see our names on the little screen. It'd be nice to have that. And just a short little bio. I can pull some of the bios that I already have from the old site, but I'd like to create the new site and get this up and running before the end of the year. The other question I guess I have for everybody is, I've got some field trip pictures, but I'm gonna, I think, narrow it down, and I'll just pull down some. And I mean, we have on the old site, we have tons and tons, and I don't know how often everybody goes to the old site. Let's see, our field trip images. This is the old site. So we have different things. I was going to group the like the Shady Lane greenhouse, all the past year's stuff. I'll pull some of the highlights and make a new highlight one. And then as we do new stuff this coming season, they'll be fresh. So that I don't think we need to be looking back at, say, Shady Lane greenhouse from well, you could see we go back quite a ways, back to 2015, I think, for Renaissance Fair and a lot of things. I may make like a video or do something with some of the stuff that we have before we get rid of the old site, but we're going to sort of condense and create this new site. It's what's nice with the new site is it's a lot more versatile for what we can do with it. So I have different headings. It's still a work in progress, but it's slowly getting there. We have a history page that tells all about the history of our club. The current officers, and then I do have a section in here that has all the past officers, secretaries and treasurers, for anybody that'd be interested. We also have, and Ellen's going to get me more of them, is where did I put that? I still have to figure out where I hide everything.
The newsletters, yeah.
Yeah, we've got the newsletters. I know it's here somewhere. I just missed it. Where did I shove that? It's not under miscellaneous. Thought it was under About Us, but oh no, it's meeting info. And I don't have it pearled down. So we'll have a section for meeting. We'll have our meeting videos, and then of course we have the newsletters. And you might find it interesting to go back. We go all the way back to the very beginning. I've got newsletters from 1976. We sort of lose a batch somewhere in 2010 to 2020. We're sort of short a whole bunch of newsletters.
I think I can fill in from 2014 to current, because I have some of Carol's old newsletters that she gave me when I took over. So I don't,
Okay.
I think 2010 to 2012 might be somewhere. I don't know if Carol was doing it then, or, where they were.
Yeah. And I'm not sure. I've got 2010 to 2012, it looks like, and then anything after that we're missing. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but this is where our history is. And it is sort of fun to go back and read these old newsletters. you know, things were a lot different back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And compared to how great our newsletter is, and should say congratulations to Ellen because she won an award through PSA. It
We
was
got
what, Ellen?
third,
Third
our newsletter placed third in the PSA, and we had best use of photography. So apparently they like the way that we lay out the photos, not just static rectangles. So
Yeah.
it was, I just have to get the third place logo to put on the newsletter now.
Yeah. So we did well that way.
Yep.
We're moving up in how our website does in the competitions, and with this new website, I think we'll do a lot better, and we'll be able to add a lot more information to it with the flexibility that this newsletter or this website will be. So, but the main thing is I need gallery images.
Yeah. And I was just going to mention that one of the things we fall short on in the newsletter is articles from other members and informative pieces. And at this point, I'm not seeing a whole lot of, you know, information coming in from other members at this point. It might be something that we would slowly work into. So we'll see how that goes. But if it functions for most people right now, it doesn't matter whether we're first, second, or third, as long as people, fourth or fifth, as long as people read it and use it. That's a little bit more important for our members. So
Yeah,
I'm okay with it.
Yep. No, I winning at PSA is nice. I mean, we are up against the whole country for both website and newsletter. So it's nice when we do well, but I also only go so far with what they suggest. But if there's something you'd like to see, have us put in the website, again, let me know and I'll add it. I'm always looking for, we do have a section that's going to be called photography tips, and I would love it if some other people would, just like we need it for the newsletter, I could use it for the website as photography tips that you'd like to write a short article or even do a short video. We can put that under photography tips, and otherwise it's just me putting that stuff out every month, and that gets to be a little hard between all the different groups that I work with. But
Jeff, is there a way? I ran into this the other day working on a photo where I thought, boy, would I love to get an expert's opinion. I can't remember what it was. I probably just passed by that photo. But is there, like, as you said, putting out photo tips, could we ever submit questions to you or to whoever's writing, or maybe the group, to, hey, I need help, I'm not getting this, and that could be kind of like a photo tip subject?
sure, I could probably put that, because the photo tips is like a blog, so we could post
Okay.
the photo and then people could comment.
And I don't mind looking up information. I'm, you know, to find out other information, because I do it for my my design newsletters all the time. I have to find out what's what and so on. So yeah, that's a possibility.
Yeah, we can. There's a couple of
Both
ways that
ways,
we could
yeah.
probably put it on the website. Sure.
Yeah, like an ask question area.
Ask the experts. Yeah.
Ask the
Yeah.
experts.
Or me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, I'll work on that. Because I'm always looking for ways to, I mean, this website is for us to help us along. So there's going to be, I'm working on a photo resources, which is different photo links, like, you know, stuff that we get from Hazel that can go on there so that people can use the links. Some of the links in the photo resources will be affiliate links Some will be mine, affiliates that I have. If we get stuff from other people, we'll probably put those in too. That just helps us spread the cost out a little bit for maintaining some of this stuff. So
I do have one other suggestion. If people
Sure.
are okay with this, in their bios, if they could also put down what their camera preference is. When we were with Clint the other night at the helicopter talking to
Flight
I
for
gave-
Life.
Yeah, Flight for Life, I'm sorry. Yes, but just like there was another person with the same camera. So it'd be nice to know if I knew, Jeff, that can shoot anything. But if I knew another member would shoot my exact camera or has, their favorite lens or whatever, it would just be nice to know to reach out to that person. Hey, what'd you think of this? 'Cause I know
Sure.
we have the Nikons, I know we have the Canons as most, but there's a lot of unique things that our members shoot.
yeah, if they want to put it on, I know on my personal website, I have a whole link, what's in my camera bag page, and it shows all the stuff that I have. Yeah, we could maybe put down camera brands or something. I don't know if we want to get too specific, only
Right.
because it's something that everybody will see, and you don't want to, I don't worry about it quite as much on my personal site, but you do have
No, I
to be
understand.
careful that people don't all of a sudden go, oh, he's got all this camera gear.
Mhm. Agree.
I've lived with it for 40 years, so I've only had my bag stolen twice in 40 years, so it's not too bad. But that's what insurance is for.
Jeff, you were
But
talking
no.
about Waco or Waco. Do you have any comments or anything news on that and PSA?
Sure. With Wacko, get your competition images in. The uploader is open till about the middle of the month. So you only got a week or two to get your competition images in. So that's important. The competition is November, I think it's November 4th. It's the first Saturday of the month. You'll be able to watch the final judging where we pick all the medal winners for that. So, and that link will go out relatively soon to the people that at least have entered. And if anybody else that, if you don't want to enter but want to watch the competition, just email me or contact me and I'll send you the link for that. Or yeah, you'd have to, because it's going to happen before our next meeting. PSA, they have their meeting coming up in November, and I don't know who they have coming because they haven't put, I haven't gotten a notice on that yet. Do want to congratulate, huh?
PSA Wisconsin, you mean?
Yeah.
That would be Rick Florin,
Oh, that could be. Yeah, that sounds like it might be
Nature and
right.
Wildlife Photography. I put it in the
Yeah.
newsletter, so hopefully it's right.
Yeah, it could be. I gotta
I
admit,
got it from the website. Yeah,
yeah, okay. I haven't been on the website lately.
okay.
Because I don't work on that one anymore. So that's Marty Welter.
I
The
was
other
there.
thing I just wanted to say with PSA is Brian Latimus, for all his dedication to the PSA group, achieved his A PSA rating and was honored with that in at the photo festival. So congratulations, Brian, on getting your A PSA.
Yes.
Another crazy PSA person that's dedicated a lot of time to Youth Showcase and the chapter itself. So
Great job.
great that he's gotten that award.
Thank you.
No, the
And-
Waco, the Waco Birds of Prey, that's, you said, is October 21st, Saturday?
Yep, it's October 21st, Saturday. Ken and I just were there getting things organized. The price has gone up to $110 per person. Thanks for everybody that's already signed up. I know we had a flurry at the end as people got signed up at the lower price, but if you still want to come, we still have room. We're going to have about 15 different birds, a few different owls, an eagle, some hawks, vulture, and my favorite bird, the crow. So come and get real close to, you can get real close, about 5-10 feet away from most of them. So it's nice nice to be able to get portrait shots of the birds, and they'll be placed on perches that look somewhat like you know, tree branches, and hopefully we have some nice fall color behind them.
If no birds in flight this time?
No, the birds in flight don't work. They are working on, I forgot which bird she said she was trying to get, Ken, to fly.
I thought it was the barn owl.
Yeah, the barn owl. She's got it to fly, but it won't fly in front of people. It seems, gets embarrassed or something and says, no, I'm not going to fly. So,
Little stage fright.
yeah. So I don't think we'll do any flight stuff. It's all just going to be more of the portrait stuff that we normally have done. We'll have 5 birds out and they'll rotate every 40 minutes. So
Talking about a field trip, we have that rain date for the observatory down at the Racine, technically in Hales Corners, I'm sorry, Union Grove. I put it in the chat. The rain date now is Tuesday, October 24th at 7 p.m. And technically that rain date would be Thursday, October 26th, also at 7 p.m. So I guess we'll have to pay attention to the weather and see if it's going to be overcast or raining or anything like that. But right now, October 24th, Tuesday, is going to be the first one. And then the rain date again is Thursday, 2 days later, October 26th.
Yep, let's hope we get some clear skies for that.
So then I guess next would be is if Bernard or Chris would like to go on the show and tell.
Sure, I can go.
Okay, you go first and then I'll follow.
Okay. Okay. Okay, as photographers, one of our favorite subjects, especially for parents, is our pets. So today I'll go through a few shots of photographing our pets. Back in the film days when we first started photographing, you can see that we had poorly composition, out of focus, bad lighting, and everything else that we thought was going to make a good picture, and it's enough to get our pets to walk out of the room on us. So I'll go through a few photos here to see if I have improved over the years. Along with the videotapes where you think they'll never be found, or they can be in the shopping bags hiding out, or in a box, perhaps getting a cold one, or just coming in to see what's going on and looking for some activity, because the cats always like to get photographed doing interesting things, such as hiding among the leaf decorations, or just on their favorite obstacle. Sometimes they'll try their hand at cooking or reading the paper, or just trying to sit around and look cute after scratching their favorite chair. They could be hiding under the Christmas tree or hiding in the tree, waiting to ambush Santa. And it's always handy to have the camera handy if a mouse appears. There's another mouse. Or sometimes they'll invite the mouse in to have dinner with them, or make them the catch of the day, and then have soup. Yeah, they could be looking out the window, which it would be better if the image in the window was a little more interesting. Or if they're laying in the window, or I can also name this photo, they're about to ruin the screen, but mostly they just like to lay around and take a nap. They're taking another nap. Oh, they're taking a nap. Oh, it's another nap. They're taking a nap, trying to camouflage themselves among the chair. Taking a nap on the table. Or just sitting in the chair taking a nap. And then they'll be waking up and then getting washed.
Very good,
Okay,
interesting.
thank you.
I like your cats.
Just like my kitties.
Yeah. Thanks, that was interesting.
Okay, I'll get started here. If I can share the screen properly. Oh, dear. Okay, these are a series of pictures, most of which I've taken over the past few months. A couple of them are a little bit older. I like to take pictures of insects and birds. And of course, sunsets when they're available. There's a western view of the sky quite near my home that I've gone to many
We're just,
sunsets.
Chris, we're just seeing your one folder page. We're not seeing the individual images.
So what do I
Um,
thought when I went to the folder page, I thought I opened it. So let me I gotta open it
Yeah.
first. So I'll open it and then unshare the,
yeah, you may have shared that specific window and you need to share your whole screen,
okay,
your whole desktop, I think,
Desktop, yeah.
or the desktop wherever the picture is going to be showing.
okay, so I've lost the prompt to say stop sharing screen.
Okay,
It's supposed to be on the bottom.
Yeah. Oh,
There, now I've
There.
got it again. So
I kicked you out.
okay, no problem. So what I want to do is go to the window, open up the window to the first picture, and then share the screen.
Yeah, and share that whole screen
But the little prompt to share the screen is gone.
You got two monitors?
Oh, there it is. Now I got it.
Okay.
But now I
And
shared
don't
that.
yeah, share the screen, not the folder.
Yeah. Okay, so if I go there and share the screen, now do you see it?
Nope,
Oh, there, now do you see it?
nope, still see you.
How about
Yeah.
now?
Nope, still see you.
You hit the green share screen button. And then the window that pops up, you want to make sure you pick your whatever desktop you have. There you go.
Now you have it?
Yes.
Yep, now we have it.
Oh,
You're
good.
good.
Okay, now I shall begin speaking. Okay, I like to take pictures of insects and birds. Why can't I change the picture?
That is more a Windows problem.
You can use the arrow to move forward and backwards.
Yeah.
If I had an arrow, I
Yeah,
would
yeah, down in the
certainly
middle
use-
of the bottom of the picture.
Oh,
Yeah.
there it is. Okay, I'll try that. Okay, now we're in business.
There we go.
Alex Gibson, I have a sunset available to me in the western sky near my home. That little guy had a little damselfly. Trying to catch butterflies in flight is always fun. I've been seeing a lot of sandhill cranes around lately. That one's at Horicon Marsh. That's at Horicon Marsh. So is that. That's at Horicon Marsh too. This time of year, goldfinches tend to eat seeds. A farm near my home. This is at Greenfield Park in West Allis, a little green heron with lunch. And he was about to take off with his lunch. He got all upset about something. Swooping down. I like him catching him in flight when I can. Another picture of a heron with a small fish. At Port Washington, I caught some seagulls fighting over a fish. This was recently at Greenfield Park again. These guys were eating fish in front of me, maybe 20 feet away. So I was there with about a 400mm lens and got some pretty decent detail. And sometimes they're flying. And flowers are always nice. On one of my walks, one of my neighbor's flower beds became a subject. This is some years ago when I was flying in Massachusetts in the fall. Kind of a nice little mountains lake. A trip to New York City some years ago at night. My front lawn is a haven for robins trying to get a snack or sitting in a tree. This is up near Horicon, just a nice little picture country road I thought was photogenic. And in the spring, red-winged blackbirds are all over the place. And another crane. Another farm near my home towards sunset with a little HDR thrown into it to try to make it look a little different. And once I was at Horicon and we were inundated by a bunch of old car fanatics who had driven up there and took a couple pictures of their cars. And my last picture was just a mass of yellow flowers, which I thought was nice. And that's all I got.
Very nice.
Yeah, some great bird shots there.
Thank you. That's one of my specialties, is trying to find little birds. Lately, I've been finding a lot of herons at Greenfield Park that are willing to eat their meals in front of me. So I took advantage of that.
Okay, well, I guess I'm gonna try to share my screen and do the slideshow for the presidential challenge.
Better luck than me, I hope.
All I gotta do is just should do. I want to do the desktop, but hang on, let me flip. Let me go like this. That should work. Share. All right, everyone should be able to start seeing my PowerPoint. So let's give this a try.
Clint, I think we're seeing
Okay,
the
yeah, let me,
presentation page.
yeah, let me stop
Is there
this.
music too with it?
Yes, it is.
Okay, when you share the screen, make sure you check the box on the bottom that says share audio
Okay,
and video.
okay, let's give this a try again.
Yeah, it's always tricky picking the right screen for PowerPoint.
Okay, let's try this. Share. And then share sound. And then I think this is going to be screen 1. Okay, and now I'll just have to press play now. No, still not, right?
No, I think it's gonna be screen 2. You got the sound.
Yeah, so let's try this again.
Just hit F5.
Desktop, yeah, control. Now let's try this one more time. Nope, right?
You're picking the wrong screen. Have it ready to be played so you can see which screen it's on.
Yeah.
Or is
Okay,
I don't
screen
know.
2. Okay.
Yeah,
right here.
Try the
This one should work now.
If you hit F5, that puts it in play mode for PowerPoint.
there you go.
There you go. Now let's go to the very beginning, although now I don't have sound. Let's try this. Go like that. Hang on. Let's try this again. Although now I got kicked out, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Just make sure you pick that same screen again and make sure you check the audio box.
Sound, and then should be one should be screen 2. Let's see here. Let's see here. Where is screen 2? Let's try. Yes, no, maybe,
Yep, got it.
but no sound, no, right?
No.
I know I had sound. All right, let's give this a try again.
Yeah, just make sure you have that checkbox for sound audio check.
I'm gonna cheat as I'm gonna just turn off my power to my and use only one monitor right now. Let's try this. All right. Share screen. Okay, that should be there. Sound. Now we should have it, right?
Yep.
With
Yep,
sound.
and we hear it.
Okay, good.
Sounds good.
All right, well, that's it for the show.
Very good.
So thank you everyone for participating in that. I don't know if you guys see another picture too for Flight for Life or not.
Sure, go ahead, Clint.
Okay, well, let me stop this screen, and then there's only like 5 pictures of it, so share. All right, you should see Flight for Life there. And thank you for the people that came out to join our chapter at the West Bend Airport. It was kind of a fun evening. And my favorite picture is this one. I really like this picture a lot. I love the view, the angle. I like the red light on the inside. And then this is the last picture. So it was a fun evening. Quite a lot of people out.
Very good.
So any other people have to make any comments or any ideas or suggestions? Field trips?
I'd like to bring up one, please.
Yes.
Okay, everyone is being asked if they would like to participate in photographing the West Bend Christmas Parade. It's Sunday, November 26th, a Sunday after Thanksgiving at 5 p.m. And Linnea came last year. I wasn't able because my vision wasn't working yet, but I plan to go this year. They're hoping to get some people that'll take pictures of the parade participants, and then also people that will take crowd images so they get a good mix of everything. They did make a donation to our club in exchange for us doing this last year, and they were so pleased with the images that they want us to come back again this year and maybe make it a regular thing.
Is that done in downtown?
It
West
is
Bend?
done in downtown. They're starting to lay pavement, so they may actually have a parade route.
Okay.
So they're making progress.
Yeah, I know I went by there on Saturday. It's like, oh, they still got to pave it.
Oh my gosh, it's been a long year.
Yeah.
I just park up at the art museum now. I'm just walking to work in the morning because I just can't deal.
Yeah, you walk over the bridge and that.
Yeah, it's a lot easier than trying to and I come in the back door right off the Riverwalk now that's open and it's beautiful.
Well, hopefully some people can participate in that. I mean, I think it's a great opportunity. It's a great exposure for our Menomonee Falls Camera Club and what we can do and what we can provide, what our type of photography can do for them.
Yeah, they're very pleased. Mike Husar that I work for, him and his wife are both also professional photographers that actually get paid money for their photographs at times, which it's never happened to me. But anyway, she does wildlife all the time, makes lots of trips to Africa and stuff. And
do we send you the pictures or how does that work?
You could send them to me and then I can get them over to Mike, and then he'll get them where they need to go from there.
Is there a size limit on what size they need?
I would probably just keep it in line with what we do for the Wacko competition, like the 2,000 on each pixels on each side.
2,100?
Yeah, whatever it is that we normally do, then that way we don't have to sit there, and if we want to use one for a competition or something, we don't have to figure out what size it is or anything.
Patty, I'll contact you and put a little more information in next month's newsletter also.
Okay, all right.
October, yeah, because this is, what are we in? We're in October. Okay, so that'll be for November, but I can give it a little more space and give some more details to it also.
I'm sure.
For people. I will not be around from October 16th to the 26th, so I should be back in time to do the newsletter. But just to let people know that if they want an answer, maybe where there's spotty Wi-Fi for certain things, but continue to send your pictures, because I will get them.
Okay.
Any other comments or anything, suggestions, field trips?
Clint, maybe we let everybody know where we're having the December meeting, the Christmas
Yeah.
party.
Okay, so that's official that we're gonna go to the Holy Cross, if I remember right.
Yeah, I take it that's where we're gonna be going.
Yep, I know Brian, I think has all the information. It's basically only a mile away from the rec department. It's right on Pilgrim Road. It's on the west side. I can give the people the information, the address and that to that.
Yeah, just Clint, there's a couple opens on that. Hoping to connect with Jeff, who's head of property issues at the church on Thursday, and
Okay.
so I think, it's a good space. There's 8 tables with 8 round tables with 6 chairs each. There's a nice kitchen with a pass through. So I think in terms of the pizza and for people just chatting with one another, I think it's going to be just great. What we got to work out is how to display the prints that are to be judged, and need to figure out where to do the group photos. So I'll be trying to iron those things out this Thursday, and we'll share that information with the officers at that time.
Okay, yeah, I sent you an email on maybe opportunities, suggestions where the photos could be, and then the group photo if possible. So
Yeah, it's just those wooden chairs will be down low, and then it's kind of crowded with tables. The
And you have to bend
sanctuary,
over.
there's other things there in the sanctuary, so I just don't know how free you are to move. Again, I'll work with Jeff there to try to come up with some good ideas. They've got a lot of space, so we'll work on that.
I think you could, if nothing else, even just put them on the round tables and just spread it out. It's only 100 pictures and they're 8.5 by 11. So
well, that's an easy answer. If we can do that, otherwise, well, is that okay, Clint? Why don't we just do that?
that's fine. The only thing I'm concerned on is, the pizza, because I don't want, us as a chapter eating pizza and then,
No,
all the pictures
well, I think
get
we need to separate. Normally, we do the judging first.
usually,
Yeah.
yes, correct.
Well, let's do it. Let's do that.
Okay.
yeah, just
Make it
judge
happen.
them first, and then pick them out. They have to be picked up and put back into the box, and then you can do the pizza. And that's how we normally used to do it. So that should work just fine.
What time would you like to get there at the church? At the Holy Cross? Because I know we used to do it always at 7. Do you want to do 6:30? What's your opinion?
No, I told him 7 o'clock with
7 o'clock? Okay.
would be, but then would be there at 6:30 to begin setting up.
Okay.
Well, let's not change the time. Well, let's not
Okay.
do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for looking into that and a second place that we can do this at. So thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
And I'm going to cancel the one at the rec department.
And Jeff, do we need to call for images for the PSA Club showcase?
No, we're gonna Ken and I are gonna pick those out, or Ken's gonna have some people pick that out. What we do need is thanks, Ellen, because that reminded me that we have the Wisconsin print circuit, that we need images, prints before the November WACO meeting. And there you can submit one color, 1 8x10, or one color or one monochrome print, up to 8.5 by 12 inches. The easiest is an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper with the image on it, or 8.5 inches square. we can, anybody that needs the info, we can get you all the rules, but it's basically an open subject. You just need to put your name, the club name, and the title of the image on the back of the print. And if you get them to either Ken or myself, we'll get them to Mary Dumont. And, you know, it's an easy one to just have printed up. But the paper can be no larger than 8.5 by 12 and no smaller than 8.5 by 8.5. So
I'm sorry, this is for what?
This is the Wisconsin print circuit that Wacko puts on. These are the prints that we're going to be judging in December.
December, okay.
Yeah.
Correct.
But
okay.
Our club can enter one color, one monochrome, open category.
Okay.
If you have a question on the sizing and that, let me know. And what I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll make sure I include the rules in the email that I send out after I get the stuff from Hazel. So that I'll send out a whole big packet in the next couple days. But if somebody has a question on it, you can get a hold of either Ken or myself and we will let you know. But it's the Wisconsin print circuit.
Okay, but will that still, if we put it in the November newsletter, will that be enough time?
No, we forgot to mention it at the last meeting and I didn't catch it in the newsletter this time. So that's why I'm since you mentioned the other part that rang my bell that we forgot about the Wisconsin print circuit.
Okay.
We have too many competitions going on.
That's why I asked. Yeah, I'm confused. Okay.
But I'll send the instruction sheet out in the packet. But everybody can mail me the prints, or you can send them to Ken as I'm volunteering him.
Okay. Okay.
Because I know both of us are going to be sending prints in, so we'll either get them from each other and get them sent in.
All right.
So I think that's all I have on that. Right, Ken? I'm not forgetting anything else for Wacko, am I?
No, but we do have that PSA club showcase too, that one that Bonnie runs. And
Right.
that's where we have 7 images.
Yep. I think we're going to just end up picking the 7 images from the ones that everybody has entered in the competition from the last 2 times.
Yeah, but if anybody wants to send me an image that maybe was not entered in the competition, you can do that also. When is the deadline for that, Jeff?
End of the month.
Okay.
So we got to get working on that one soon too.
Busy month.
Yep.
Clint,
Yes,
back to the pizza party.
yes,
Have you talked to our vice president about ordering pizzas?
I did. I talked to her last night.
Okay, good. And that they need to accept the check.
Yes, I made sure that was stated too. That is correct.
Okay, good deal. Just checking.
No, thank you for making sure and thank you for asking, trying to cover all our bases.
What
Okay,
about the support stuff, the drinks and snacks and?
Yes, we have to find people for the snacks and that. I will purchase again this year for the soda, so I'll purchase that. So that'll be taken care of. I know we used to have the cups and that was supplied by the Menomonee Falls Camera Club. I'm not quite sure who has the cups. Actually, wait, I do.
Yeah, I think you do, Clint.
Yeah, I got that big I call it big box, but
yeah, there should be a big case that because we cleared everything out of the rec department.
Correct. Yeah, so I do have that with the cups and that, so I can supply all the plates and napkins and soda and that. Just we need to find people, to supply, like say treats and cookies or whatever they.
I think that was more or less a volunteer thing, and a lot of people did last year bring cookies and bars and
yes.
some homemade, some store-bought, we don't care. You
Nope,
know,
correct.
as long as they've either got sugar or salt on them, we're good.
It was really fantastic last year too. So, and then I can, I can do also the group photo shot shoot for us too.
Okay, that sounds good.
So, well, I guess that's it. It's 9:20, so
Yep. Next
Thank
month,
you.
we have Jim Karofsky's gonna be talking about Flash,
Still flash?
Bill Flash,
Okay, good.
if everything goes right with Jim.
let's hope so. No, it sounds like it'll be good.
Yep,
I
yep.
talked to him last night too.
Ah,
So
boy, you've
it
been
was
busy, Clint.
Yeah, I've been busy.
Okay.
That's good. That's good.
So, trying to keep up on that.
I'll get some more information from Jim on his talk before the newsletter also, so that I can give you a little bit more information on other than just Phil Flesh.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. Nice seeing you all again.
Yep, nice seeing you. I guess that concludes our meeting tonight, but thank you everyone for participating tonight, and I'm glad everyone showed up.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, take care.